So welcome back. Today is the 29th of September. We're on the threshold of a month transition. It's a full moon. There's lots of hacking. I got a push to load a security patch on my Android in the middle of the day, and I never have that. I captured that because it's that bad. If you haven't loaded any security patches for your devices and your laptops, you need to do that right now. That's just a quick practical matter. I'm going to ask Jadel, have you check to see if there's any updates, cumulative updates, patches, fixes on your host machine, or any new versions or any new versions of VirtualBox before we do this build? Now, why am I asking that question before we do the build? All right, everybody, this is a come to Jesus moment, okay? Come to Jesus. When you are building a virtual machine that's going to serve a purpose for more than one person, that's called a server. Everybody got that? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, there's a couple of things you want to make sure you do right. Number one, you find a name for the server. We've done that already, haven't we? The name is?
Sissel-C.
Sissel. We're going to give it a fixed IP address before the period is over. Okay? If you have a name for your system, all we need to do is tie that name to a fixed IP address that doesn't change before it is built, before the role is provisioned. Okay? Because once the role is provisioned, if you change up Charlie afterwards, it's not going to work very well. I want you to understand that about network dynamics. You may be asked to solve a problem going into a network scenario, and the first question I want you to ask them is, how is this system provisioned? And they're going to go, whoa, uppity. What are you talking about? And you're going to go, you can't build a house on sand. If you changed up Charlie after the role was added, there's bindings between the protocols and the network services, and you changed up Charlie, and now it's like sputtering, and I'm like, that's the problem, folks, right? Do you understand what I'm getting at? Mm-hmm. The other thing is that the build itself has to be virginal. Now, I'm not going to get into the subtleties of that choice of words, but I want you to understand, when you're building a system, you can't have anything in the mix. If you have nasty applications that are running in real time in your system tray, it's time to exit them. If you're like, you have a client that's running for gaming purposes, you have instant messaging client. If you have anything that's potentially exposure while you're building the machine, if you don't have the latest version of your operating system host, right, the host operating system, if you don't have the latest version of the virtual management environment, in this case, VirtualBox or Hyper-V, then you're building your house on sand because you're using something that could start updating while you're building and then.
No, that's me.
No, that's you.
That's me.
Not again. Say not now. Because we're gonna.
For an update.
Oh, was that yours?
Yeah. It's for an update.
Oh, this is the name that shall not be named. Right?
Yep.
This is the monster all over again. But what happens if we wing it and then we have flakies afterwards? We have recorded, this is recorded, this is a live recording.
Yep.
So this is part 2 of what we started last week. What's going to happen is somebody's going to watch part 1 from last week, then they're going to watch part 2, and they're going to go, wait a minute, this presented. So what you're not seeing in the recording most likely is the pop-up that says it's almost time to restart. So here's what we're going to do. How long does it take for you to do a reboot?
Not that long.
Okay, what we're going to do in the segment between now and your reboot is we're going to talk about what everybody else is doing and how you're setting up your own DNS, if you choose. Okay, so go ahead and pull the trigger on that. And what I'd like to know is, does anyone want to go home with a Raspberry Pi today?
Time it.
Okay, he has one. Anyone else? You're going to do Pi hole?
Oh,
Probably. You don't have to. You can load a version of Linux or the Pi OS, and then you can run bind. So bind is a good option. Doesn't take long to pick up. It's going to work a lot like the DNS here, so you could do that. If you do something else, let us know. Okay. I would recommend Pi hole. And I would also recommend that when you get that new toy, don't turn up all the dials, or everybody in your household's gonna go, why can't I search? I can't do Facebook. Is there anyone else? Is there anyone here today that wants their own private DNS server? You would like to try your own private DNS server, not in your home environment. We host here. It's yours. It belongs to you. It's on the ground floor.
I might try it in my home environment.
You might try it. Okay.
Pretty home environment.
Okay. Are you willing to report back to the class later after you have it running on how well it runs?
Sure.
Okay. And then can the rest of you commit to reconsideration on that option later based on his report and the findings? Is that a fair way to go? Okay. I don't want to force anything on anybody. Okay. It's too cool. That needle is flying and you haven't said a word over there. The needle is flying, but she hasn't said a word over there. All right. So go ahead, Jadelle, and share your screen again. And then we'll go ahead and then we'll stop after we're done. After this build is complete.
Should be up to date.
Let's check VirtualBox. Now, you do not have or do have a professional or educational version of Windows? Is it home edition?
I think it should be home. Should be
Okay,
home.
so you're building within the VirtualBox context, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, full disclaimer. Everyone knows that Oracle and Microsoft are sometimes at odds with each other, right? So what may happen is that when we migrate this to the Hall of Fame, we may need to rebuild it because we'll find out that it was birthed in the VirtualBox environment, but when we migrate it over to the permanent host, the Hall of Fame, VirtualBox may sprinkle some nasties in there. So that I'm just full disclaimer, right? So if he ends up seeing flakies with this, I don't want you to think that that's, oh, see how bad that's gonna work? No, I don't want my family subject to that. It'll only afflict Jadel's household.
Not like this.
All right, are we ready?
Nothing to update on VirtualBox.
Okay, nothing to update on VirtualBox. It sounds like we're ready to go. So, all right, last question. Is your ISO in a temp folder on the C drive? And as opposed to a folder in your user profile? There she is. Okay. And you have your VHDF.
I moved it there. Okay. You can lay off my keys.
Okay. Do me a favor on your C drive, create a directory called VHD, please. Just a dedicated directory for VHD. There we go. Yep. And then create one called VM. Now, the reason I'm asking him to do this is because on the host machine, I'm going to do the same exact thing. We're going to create VHD and VM, and then he's going to change the preferences on his VirtualBox to point to the VM folder, and he's going to use the VHD in the VHD folder. Can you transfer, please, the VHDX into your VHD folder? So I think that's in the temp folder. I saw it.
Yep.
So we built the VHD in a bona fide local hard drive directory, not a user profile that's tied to OneDrive, right? Because he could be one of those students that does all sorts of stuff with, I don't know, College of Science and Math. He might be drinking the UVI Kool-Aid and he's logged into the UVI account half the time. And when he is, the profile is active. And so some of his stuff is stored in his user profile in the cloud with OneDrive, even though he does or doesn't like that. And I get bit by that all the time. I save a file and then I can't find it. And I'm like, oh, it's in the OneDrive at the UVI again. So,
Yep, that is
so those are considerations. Those are finer points we just want to cover here. Okay. Because if something happens, we want to be able to qualify, okay, what happened? If we go back to it, that's what we're going to have. Okay. So now you're in the, you have that in the temp, you have the VHD in the VHD.
Yep.
Okay, and we're assuming that you keep up with your disk defrag and disk cleanup on a regular basis,
Yep.
correct? Okay. All right, so let's go back to VirtualBox and let's make sure in preferences before we continue. Preferences, probably on the file menu. Preferences, you're gonna select the VM folder or default machine folder. See where it's pointing? See where it's pointing?
Yeah.
See where it's pointing to that user profile, which may or may not be tied to OneDrive. I've seen it happen, even after the fact. Let's go other. Let's go to,
Wait, whoops, not that. Here,
there we go.
here.
Okay, this is gonna happen pretty quickly and it's gonna happen faster because he's got the VHD pre-built.
So,
It's VM folder you want.
oh,
You're gonna want the VM folder to be the default VM folder. There we go. Okay, now you can say, okay. All right, and let's go ahead and build a machine. We'll create a new, so if you click underneath the machines now, or click one of the machines. Yeah, there we go. And then let's click new up there. And then let's select, see how that, see, it's picking the VM. Everybody see that? All right, let's name it Sissel. Question, if we name it here Sissel, is it gonna be Sissel when it comes alive and connects to the network the first time? The virtual machine itself? No, it won't. All we're doing is creating the management context for the data used to build the machine, and that's called Sissel. That's an important distinction. All right, let's go to Microsoft Windows, but let's get rid of that nasty Windows 10. No, it was Windows. Leave the Windows there.
oh.
It's
Oh,
it's the
Windows 10.
version.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, there she is. Windows 2022, 64-bit. Now, unattended. Untick that box, please. Make sure that unattended is right underneath there. There it is.
Oh, whoa. I can't read.
That's not engaged, correct?
From what I can tell, no, I cannot interact with anything.
It's grayed out.
Yeah, it's grayed out.
Yeah, all right, so let's just close that for now. Let's go to hardware.
No.
And just, yeah, go to hardware. All right. I don't wanna get into personal stuff here, but could you devote half of your memory on the laptop to this build? Could you put 8192 there? Are you running a lot of other applications right now?
I'm running Zoom, this. We're not gonna talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you should be good.
Just close this.
Let's increase the CPUs to 2.
Oh, yep.
And let's increase the memory to 8192, please. And let's open up hard disk. Use an existing virtual hard disk file. See it down there? There we go. Let's hit the folder. Yeah, navigate to VHD.
Whoops, that is not the.
Oh, no, click add.
Yeah.
Let's go to the VHD folder.
Here.
There it is. Open.
What do you mean?
Just say details.
What do you mean by version not supported?
Yes, the VHDX is too new.
Is VHDX ahead of its time, or?
No. That doesn't like the VHDX that's created by Disk Manager in the Windows environment. Okay, all right. So let's go back. Do you have a solid state hard drive on your laptop?
SSD?
Or is it a regular traditional hard drive?
I think it's just a normal hard drive.
Okay.
Task manager? I should not open that.
It is SSD.
Oh.
Okay, cool. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. Yeah, all right, so we're gonna roll with this. Okay, remember what I said about, Oracle and Microsoft not
Yeah, they don't like
playing
to-
nice to each other. So, you got plenty of hard disk space, right? Still, or should we delete the hard drive you just created?
Yeah, we still got a great bit.
You still have plenty. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, cancel this. Let's go back. Go back to the option to create a virtual hard disk now. Where were we?
Waste management, I think.
Not with that.
Oh,
Sorry, well, here, well, all right, so we have a choice to make. We can create a VHD with VirtualBox, or we can create a VHD with Disk Manager. Which do you think would be most compatible with other Microsoft operating systems when it's moved? Disk Manager is correct. I mean, you can kind of wing it. It would be an interesting trial if you wanted to see. We're not interested in trials right now. We want to get this done before the end of the class, right? So let's go and let's create the VHD in Disk Manager. Let's do another one named Sissel. Let's do it in the VHD folder to begin with. Okay. And so under action, whoops. Click on one of the disks down below there, disk 0. Click disk 0. Where it says disk 0.
Oh.
Yeah. Now go to action. There it is. Create VHD. Let's just do VHD. Yeah. Give it the same. Yeah. Yeah. Sissel-C VHD, right? So double click into there.
Whoops. Oh, right. Yeah, you have to name it.
Sissel-C. Yeah. And not DX, just VHD.
Yeah,
Dot
so just
VHD.
dot VHD. Okay.
All right, and then hit save. There we go. Fixed size, let's do 47, it's a little smaller. Yeah, all right, hit okay.
Oh, 47 megabytes?
Yeah, oh no, let's multiply 47 times 1024. What is that? 47 times 1024.
47 times 1024. 48128.
48128.
So this time we're doing VHD, not VHDX.
Correct.
Got it.
Go ahead and say okay. We're not doing dynamic, we're doing fixed.
Okay. Yeah, we're doing fixed. Okay, so.
Because the dynamic format in Disk Manager is different than the dynamic format in VirtualBox, so, right? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, that's moving right along. We should have a solution shortly. So can you go back to VirtualBox? You're gonna point to this as soon as it's, actually, we have to bring it into the Media Manager first, don't we? Yeah. So we'll have to go to Tools, open up Media Manager. And then you're gonna add the media, not create it. And you're gonna wait for, you can navigate to the VHD, and as soon as that thing pops into view, it'll be there. Is that there already?
Yep.
Did it finish?
Nope.
43%, okay. So when was the last time you did disk defrag and disk cleanup? It's a solid state hard drive, dude. I'm just kidding. This is actually pretty decent performance considering the size of the file. Think about it. We're creating a single file that's 47 gigabytes large, and it's one continuous file. That's some pretty heavy lifting.
Yeah. Like,
And it's
I will
60%
say-
done right now. So in 60 seconds, it's 60% done. I'd say that's pretty.
I will say,
Pretty
like,
amazing.
from, like I'm doing all of the disk optimizations and the defrags, I have actually seen like performance increase with this computer, because last night I was downloading like a game that is, like, we call it 3 or 4 gigs, and usually it would download like now if I started it last night, and my computer just, it was going. network wasn't the best, but hey, I mean, it was moving.
That's the goal.
Is for everybody to understand their baseline performance under ideal circumstances, so when it's not, you know what's going on.
80%, 90, okay.
Almost there. Now, I've seen virtual machines built in 3 minutes or less, so we can still get out of here before 10 o'clock. So,
Boom, done.
all right, you should be able to
Refresh. Boom.
Today is 29th of September.
Right.
All right, so now it's in there, so let's go back and create a new machine. New. All right, Sissel. Let's see, Windows needs to change. 2022, hardware. 8192 for memory. Hard disks, you're gonna point to something that's existing, use existing down below.
There it is.
There it is. Choose. And then say finish.
Oh, yeah, we named it, okay.
Finish. Okay, now let's look at settings real quick. Settings, and let's go to display. So that's good. See if you can select enable 3D acceleration. That's good. I don't see a yellow triangle. Let's go to storage. Storage, what does he need to do with the DVD drive? What does he need to do there? Let's go to the little blue disk in the upper right corner. Choose a disk file, point to your temp. Everybody with me? Okay, select that. Open. Okay, let's look at network. See if you can change to bridge, see if a yellow sign shows bridge instead of that.
Oh, change the bridge.
Bridged. Yeah, it looks good. It looks good. I don't see a problem. And it's pinned, look, it's bridged and it's pinned to the wireless adapter. You want to do that now. That's kind of like you're building the house on sand, right? When he's running this on his machine, we want that network association to always be pointed to which network interface, his Ethernet port or his wireless port. Which one is he using all the time? It's wireless, right? Okay. Let's say okay. Now there was something on there about promiscuous mode you would set if you were doing calling, and but we're not going to talk about that now. Okay, so in the upper right corner, if you could start in detach mode. So at one point, you'll see the screen. Up. Wrong permissions. Okay, say okay. Close VirtualBox Manager, please. All right, let's open up File Manager. Close Disk Manager, please. So Disk Manager just created that file. It could be attached to that file. It could have that file in a locked state.
Oh.
Okay,
Like the
everybody understand what I'm
resources being
saying?
used.
We're gonna do one more thing on the VHD. I want you to right click that, go to Properties, please. Go to Security, please. Oh, no. Go back to General. Take that thing on read only off. Yeah, go back to, yeah, and hit apply. And then say yes. Then go to Security, then go to Advanced. Okay, what we want to do is disable inheritance. Convert. Now let's add.
Oh, yep.
I want you to add Blondell Myers. Select principal. Type in your Blondell Myers. You could hit,
Oh, well, could just hit check moves.
yeah, well, it's gotta be the whole thing. All right, here's the workaround, everybody. Delete that entry. Go to advanced. Go to find now. All right, find your name in that list. The name for the login that you have, there it is, Blondell Myers.
There we go.
There it is, okay? See what we did there? Now we have the precise, you could have been fiddling around with that for quite some time. Now click OK. Now select full control. Now select OK. Now check the box that says replace all child object permission entries with inheritable permissions. Hit apply, hit yes, hit continue, hit continue. Okay, now here's what's gonna happen. If we try this again, I'm just saying this. If we try this again, and we get yet another stupid error from Oracle and their VirtualBox environment that they really don't like from Microsoft created VHD, then what we've done is uncovered a foundation crack in the build of virtual machines. And this is something to consider when you're staging virtual resources, okay? This is the world we're going to be living in. Most of the servers and systems that you're going to be working with going forward are going to be those virtual machines. All right, so let's try it again, see if we can clear that error. And if you have any remnants of Device Manager or Disk Manager open, you should probably get rid of those. Right? I don't see anything there. Okay, let's close. Let's go back into settings on Sysl. Let's look at storage. I don't see any exclamation points for the permissions we just changed, right? Everybody got that? Okay, let's try it again. Now, one thing we can do that's kind of funky is that we can add a disk drive controller. It can be a SCSI controller. We can attach that VHD to the SCSI controller. I mean, there's other things you can work around with this. The question is whether or not you want to work around with an open source virtual machine that's created in VirtualBox when you're going to have it running on a server platform, right? So that's just a consideration. Let's go ahead and try to start it again and see what happens. Maybe we can get to the point where we have a screen. We don't have problems. Failed to open.
Try running it in NAT because I remember I had that issue.
Can you what?
Try running it in NAT instead of bridge. Sometimes.
Yeah, and I would agree, and that's an excellent suggestion. Thank you, Akeem. I've seen that error only resolve when you go to NAT. And it's weird because this is about VHDs, right? Okay, let's change settings to NAT. So you go to network. And then afterwards you can, yep, hit OK. Yeah, that one bit us before, didn't it? Yep. That was terrible. We're all scratching our heads going, what is going on here? Now, if it shows up again, then at this point, okay, it really doesn't like. It really doesn't like.
Try this in the 3D acceleration.
Yeah, let's try that. Let's turn off 3D acceleration and display.
Oh, it's display, okay.
I don't think that'll do it, but it's worth a shot.
That used to be a problem.
Yeah. And no.
I used to destroy my games.
So, all right, so what we can do if we want to move, so this is, all right. Your experience with using DNS and having your own private server is gonna depend on how stable that machine is. And what we're fleshing out here are the challenges that could contribute to inconsistent performance, okay? So what are our options going forward? Let's work through that as a class and then we'll close. And then I'm gonna stage some stuff over the weekend. And we're gonna resume this on Monday. So Monday's class to be continued. half the class will be to finish this process, to invite others to complete the process, and to touch on the first round of material in module 2, okay? So what are our, can you stop sharing your screen now? Okay, so what are our options to step forward? Are there other ways to create VHDs?
Yeah.
Okay. Could we, so what would your next step be? What would your next step be? If the disk manager VHD that was created doesn't play nice with VirtualBox,
We may have to make a VHD in VirtualBox itself.
can you make a VHD in VirtualBox itself? And then the big question is, will it play nice with Microsoft, right? Could be,
Could be.
could play nice. VHD is an old standard, it's a legacy standard, it's almost open source, right? So if Oracle wanted to work with people where they didn't hurt them, they didn't want to hurt their users, they would not necessarily cripple the standards that are used when their VHD is created by their tool to run in other VHD environments, right? So, because that way the press would be, oh, you can't create virtual hard disks with VirtualBox because they don't play nice with others. Right, eventually that's, you gotta understand the market dynamics here, okay? What's the other option?
We could find like another program that makes pretty much a stand-in for VirtualBox.
Well, all right, so you're getting somewhere. You could create a VHD with Hyper-V Manager on the server. You could create a VHD with VMware,
Yeah.
okay? And some of those might be more standard formats that talk. That it's supposed to be it's supposed to be a data type that you can use universally. But what you're learning is that these are things, right? So why would you care? One of the things that you're going to discover soon in module 2 is how you preserve data. And data can be preserved in container files. If you have a machine and you're backing up the data on the machine, would you care to guess what Windows Backup uses as a data type to preserve evidence, digital evidence in a backup file? Where are we going with this? It's VHDX. Now we come full circle. If you capture data, you have to save it. It's a lot of data. Efficiently, you want to back up your entire machine because it's full of network data. Network data is huge. It collects very quickly. It fills the disks. In a 3-day period, you can have 10 terabytes of data on a network, okay? What's the best way to do that? To try to capture and drag and drop all the files, or just back up the system? When you back up the system, what do you end up with? A VHDX. Okay, so there was a point to our examination of these file formats, and there's a connection to digital evidence preservation. Okay, so I just want you to understand. So that's coming in our next module. It's part of our next module. Okay. I will post the final version of the module 1 assessment for your retake early next week, okay? And are there any questions at this point? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and stage some VHDs and machines on the system in my office, and we'll connect to those on Monday, and we'll finish the process on Monday. And we're going to create Sissel-C, so it's still a member of the Hall of Fame.
I'm just gonna use
We're
like a
just
template.
We're just gonna say that we cloned it, okay? Because if we create it on a gaming laptop and we try to move it, it's not gonna flow. Okay, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on Monday.